Hey everyone, it is Brian Kos here, joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We have another Webfire Wednesday webinar for you today. And this one, it will be a pretty interesting one because we actually analyzed a ton of data of both lots and lots of member sites as well as lots of competitor sites of those to basically take a look at what is basically making some sites rank, what's not, what is the difference between ranking on page 1 versus 2 and 3 versus not at all, as well as looking at what has changed basically over the months in terms of what it takes to basically get ranked. So I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard of Google updates, they have all sorts of different names, like they'll have the Panda update or some name like that, and a lot of people get basically overly worried about those. I usually don't, and I'll tell you why in just a bit and why you don't really have to as well. But rather than what a lot of guys do, which is just they make basically guesses as to what Google basically looks at to rank or what like an update's done, we actually can look at data in real time and see if there's any changes done or what seems to help make a site rank well or not. So we have a lot of data available, and a good chunk of that we actually pulled to share with you today. So we'll actually go over a chunk of that live today, and I'll not only show you the actual data, I'll give like a breakdown of what my thoughts are and basically what the takeaways should be for you based upon that. And then after we do that, we'll have a Q&A where you can ask anything you want, whether it's regarding the call that you would have just seen today, or if it's anything else related to marketing or ranking or anything like that. And then we'll do the cash giveaway as well. So just like with all weeks, almost every week on these calls, we actually give $100 away to a random person who leaves a comment on a post that Sharon will throw up shortly on the Webfire Facebook group, which again you can get to at getwebfire.com/FB group. So I'll share that link a little bit later when you can do your post and stuff up there. So without further ado, we can get this show on the road. So once again, this is a Webfire Wednesday webinar, and this is all about a data analysis of SEO changes and what that means for you. And the reason why I thought of doing this call now is basically two things. One, it's been several months since we've basically analyzed a lot of data and shared it on the call back then, but more importantly, short ways back, there was a lot of talk about a new Google update, and a lot of people were worried that the update changed a bunch of stuff, and I've seen entire SEO membership sites go completely down with all their members being screwed because they followed methods that the Google update basically changed. And I'll share with you just a bit why that will never matter for Webfire users, because we don't basically teach methods that will really be affected by such updates. And what's really cool, you'll see in the data that you'll see since a lot of the changes have basically taken place, members have actually increased their rankings. And that's one of the reasons why we actually like updates like that, is because it tends to get rid of a lot of the junk sites that don't tend to really optimize or have relevant content and stuff like that. But more on that in just a bit here as I share all of the data and such that we found. So again, welcome to the Webfire Wednesday calls, and I know most of you know this by now, but they're every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and if you don't know what time that is where you are, it's approximately 5 minutes ago. We'll host a live training and or Q&A call for Webfire members, and these trainings will either feature myself, Brian Kos, Sean Casey, both of us at once, or occasionally a featured special guest if we think that their expertise would be of value to our members. But usually I'd say 4/5 or more of the time, probably more like 9/10 of the time, will either be myself or Sean. But again, occasionally we'll have a special guest thrown in there too. If you're here or registered for the series, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. So you click on training, and then you'll see a little section for Webfire Wednesday calls, and you'll click on that, and you'll see all the recordings right there. Now, it usually takes us about a day to get a live call like this in the members area. That's because they have to render and we have to add that in. But usually by the end of the day today, you'll see that in there. But if not, for sure tomorrow, you'll see that there with the most recent ones at the very top. Use these calls as an opportunity to get even more training, ask strategy type questions, get feedback, or make suggestions on what else you'd like to see. And as a special note, make sure to check out our prior Webfire Wednesday webinars and our Webfire trainings, as there's tons of info already there that a lot of you are asking for more training on. And really quick, I'll go over the 3 rules to success. Number 1, follow the steps in the trainings that we have. Oftentimes I see people that try to shortcut a few things or skip steps or don't even read the trainings or watch the instructions at all. So make sure you do that, especially if you're having problems. Number 2, don't give up. And this means seek help when needed, but don't get too dependent. So if you're stuck on like a simple thing that a Google search can fix in like seconds, do that. But if you're still stuck and legitimately can't seem to help yourself, by all means, reach out to us, because that's what we're here for. And last but not least, no whining or negative attitudes, because I think that's really the quickest way to basically fail. If you go in with a negative attitude on anything, whether it's in business or in life, it really tends to, you kind of, screw yourself over a bit there and almost guarantee that you have a bad outcome. So try not to do that if at all possible, and you'll be just fine. Now let's move on to our training for this week on our data analysis of SEO changes and what it means for you. And I think this is a very cool call because I love dealing with raw data where it's not guesswork, it's not theory, it's not, well, I heard this guy say this or this expert say that. It's what does the raw data say? And that's what we are going to show you. But first, I want to briefly talk about some SEO changes and best practices. So one of the things I want to quickly mention is what is white hat versus black hat when it comes to SEO. Some of you know this, some might not, but basically white hat is anything that Google and the other search engines would basically like you to do and would call completely legit. So if you get like relevant backlinks, that would be a legit white hat method. If you have relevant content to the titles and stuff that you're trying to rank for, or that the keywords that you're trying to rank for, if you have relevant content and titles to the keywords, that's white hat because it's what Google wants. Black hat is more of like if you get like hundreds or thousands of like crap backlinks like fast. Like if there's a program that will basically give you like 1,000 backlinks that are all crap, that's probably black hat. Or if you try to rank for a keyword, but you don't really have any relevant content and you're trying to do like tricks and stuff like that, that's black hat. Now, there are some black hat tricks that do work. In fact, I know of a few. The problem with them is basically 2 things. One, they're usually short-lived. They work for a short time, and then once they're discovered, they no longer work. And 2, it can sometimes backfire, and that not only will they no longer work, but Google and other sites can basically penalize your sites then for trying to do the black hat stuff, and it can oftentimes ruin your chances of ranking for quite a while there. So we always recommend white hat, and we've always done that, and that's all that we've always taught. Now, there's definitely like several white hat techniques that can have the benefit similar to a black hat one, but as long as it's white hat, it will basically always last long term. And that's why others basically fear the Google updates, but I never have, and you shouldn't either, because what a Google update is trying to basically do, they're trying to weed out crap sites that no one likes. They're trying to weed out spammy sites. They're trying to weed out the content that people don't want. So if you're trying to rank for stuff that you don't even have relevant content on, guess what? People don't want that. Therefore, Google doesn't want that. Therefore, the updates are trying to get rid of that. But if you have relevant content and you target your keywords well and you do everything the white hat way, Google wants that. So you should almost always increase your rankings anytime that there's an update, because it's weeding out some of the bad competition out there. And I always love it when you hear other SEO sites or experts that are all fearful because they just lost all their sites or all their teachings don't work anymore because the black hat technique got hit. And we've never had to actually worry about that, and that's why we always teach white hat. So sure, black hat can have some short-term gains, but never works well in the long run most times. So yeah, so that's all good right there. And again, all the tools that we have, we try to basically gear them all towards white hat methods that work well, but we try to, of course, basically automate as much as possible of that, so you get basically the benefits of what seems like almost like a black hat tool at times, but all basically doing white hat stuff. So next, I'll move on to what and how we basically analyze SEO data. So we track thousands of user sites anonymously, as well as thousands and thousands more of their competitors' sites. So it's not like we'll look specifically at your site or anything like that, but with all the people that use our ranked tracker tool and all that right there, we can pick up on basically trends to see, hey, what makes a bunch of sites rank and what does not, or if there's basically if there's basically a Google update, we can see in real time, what trend or what algorithm changes there might be, and then we actually compile a list of stats based upon how well those sites are basically ranking to try to find similarities or patterns relevant to the keywords and such that they're trying to rank for, because this not only in the end helps us help you rank better with better information, and also at the same time updates on basically tools and stuff to help there, but it also lets us see again in real time any Google algorithm changes as well. So if people are saying, hey, this trick does not work anymore, or this technique isn't relevant, or this tag or optimization isn't recommended anymore, we can see in real time if that's true or not, and you'd be shocked at the number of experts out there that tell you, one thing isn't relevant, but if you look at the raw data, you can see that clearly it still is relevant. And I'll share something with you in just a second right here. So now what I'll basically do is I'm going to pause the screen for a second, and I'll go to basically our stats page where we compiled a bunch of stuff. And what I did, which was really neat, is I actually have the newly compiled stuff that we just completed, I think about a day ago or so. And then I also have another page that shows off the old data from several months back as well, so we can actually see changes and stuff there, which I think is kind of cool. So not only will I go over it with you, I'll actually give you kind of like my breakdown or interpretation of it, and then after that we'll go back to the slides, and I'll share a few takeaways as well right there. So I'm just going to pause the screen for a second as we switch on over. Alrighty. All right, so you should see my screen right now. And as a side note, guys, I'm sure a couple of you are probably thinking like, well, how can you get your site tracked and all that? You can actually use our rank tracker. If you just go to SEO and keywords right here, is just the rank tool right there. So you would essentially enter your site and any of the keywords that you want it to basically track, and it will do that. So here is the data, and this is actually broken down into a couple different sections right here. One, we have the page 1 only stats. Then we have the page 2 and 3 stats, and then we have the like ones if like sites that are not ranked, we'll look at those, and then we'll also look at the competition stats. And what the competition stats is, that's basically competitors of other sites there. So if you're like ranked number 2 on page 1, you'd probably have roughly 7 to 9 other competitors right there. Now, there would literally be like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of competitor results. So we actually take like a sample size of each one. One that's statistically like very significant, just to make it basically easier to see and basically analyze all that right now there. So we're basically taking a statistically random sample in all cases right here, and a very large one in each case, and essentially getting the data to show right here. So I'll start by showing off the current one. I'll give some takeaways on that. So for page 1 sets, so these are sites that are ranked on page 1 of Google. We see of all the sites, this is the percentage of sites that have the keyword that they're trying to rank for in their title. So in their title tag is 81.5%. That means that 4/5 of all sites ranked on page 1, of our members, use the keyword in their title. So what is the takeaway from that? That's a pretty significant amount right there. If we look at guys that are only ranked on page 2 or 3, we see only about half of them have the keyword in their title. So there's a pretty big trend that says, the more likely you are to have the keyword in the title that you're trying to rank for, the more likely you are to rank on page 1. That's a huge percentage right there. If we look at the number of people with a partial keyword in their title, so like let's say your keyword is weight loss tips for men over 50, and let's say you rank for weight loss tips for men over 50, but you only have like 2/3 of the keyword in it, like weight loss tips for men instead of like over 50. That would be called a partial keyword phrase and title, because you don't have the entire phrase, but you have a good chunk of it, and that's even more. So again, that's over 86% right there. So pretty much the vast majority of people, you can safely say, have most or all of the keyword basically in their title. And right here we see close to 60% have the keyword in their description that are ranked on page 1. If we scroll down here, we see there's only about 25% on page 2 and 3 that have the keyword in their description. So what can we tell from that? It's if you have the keyword in your description, you're probably far more likely to rank on page 1. With that, there's also some other trends we see, like for page 1, people that have the keyword in the H tags, it's a bit shy of half right there. And right here on page 2 and 3, it's only 15%, so way less. And here, people with the keyword in their image alt tags, it's a bit shy of a third. Here, it's less than 13%. So way, way, way less. And people with the at least a partial keyword in their URL. So that means, like, let's say your site is, site.com, and then your blog post, like let's say your keyword is puppy potty training. You might have a post that's up at like site.com/puppy potty training. That would be having the keyword phrase in the URL. As long as you have the majority of the keyword phrase in the URL did count right here where it says, the percent of sites with the partial keyword in the URL. The WebFire plugin for WordPress and also the WebFire tools and also, Blogger and such, they tend to put the keyword that you use in the title of your blog post tends to be in the URL itself if you optimize it, with the plugin and such. So that helps right there, and we see again more right there that do so. Although we see like this is only a tinge more, with the keyword in the URL than ones that are ranked on 2 or 3. So that basically tells you, the more important things by far are the title and the description. So if you have the keyword in the title and the description, you're far more likely to get ranked on page 1. Now, if we scroll down and look at sites that are not ranked on page 1, 2, or 3, we see, a huge decrease as well. So again, we go from like over 4/5 having the keyword in in their title to about a fourth right here. So a lot less will have the keyword phrase in their title, and even less have like image alt tags and stuff like that right there, or way less have the keyword in the description, only 12.7% right there. So it basically tells you a lot of these sites aren't optimized or aren't ranking because, quite frankly, they aren't optimized well. They don't have keywords in their titles and their descriptions, and more importantly too, not only do you have to have the keywords and such there, you have to make sure that the keywords are easier to rank for by using, again, the keyword tool and stuff like that. Another thing that I want to look at real quick too is the backlinks. So the most important thing you want to basically look at is the median number of backlinks. So that's, you don't want to take the average amount of backlinks because if there's like one big site that has like 1 million backlinks, that greatly inflates the average a ton. So you want kind of like what's in the middle but not the average. So what's the most common amount of backlinks? And for guys that are ranked on page 1, we see 10 is it right here. On page 2 or 3, it's 6, so it drops almost in half. And not ranked, it's 4. So you can see there's a trend that the more backlinks you have, the more likely you are to be on page 1. But what's really interesting here, guys, is what? Even for page 1, the median number of backlinks is only 10. A lot of guys, a lot of SEO experts tend to basically say that you need like hundreds or even thousands of backlinks, and that's simply not true. As you can see from the raw data right here, you see that, hey, in this case, it's really only a handful, but you want to make sure they're relevant backlinks, not crap ones. The other thing that's really interesting too is we also show you the average site analysis optimization number, which in the trainings and stuff, I always teach that if you're above basically 80%, that's basically good. So when you use the website analysis tool, it tells you how much optimized your site is, and 80% or more, I always said, is very good. You don't have to have 100, nor should you in a lot of cases, but anything above 80 is good, and that still stands true right here because we see on the page 1 sites the average site analysis optimization score is 81.36. So it's actually like right there where I said you want to basically be. When we go to page 2 and 3, they're at just shy of 72, so they dropped down a decent chunk right there. And yeah, so that's just, and when we go to ones that aren't ranked, they drop down even more to about 45% or score right there. So obviously, if you're 80 or higher on the website analysis tool, you're more likely to stand a good chance of ranking well. Now, of course, you still have to pick a keyword that you have a chance to actually rank for, but that's why you use the main keyword tool inside of WebFire to help you with that. The other thing that's really interesting is we also list the average density, which that basically is the keyword density, and that means like if you're trying to rank for like a keyword like puppy potty training, how often do you use that phrase compared to like the rest of the words or text on your web page? And there's like a lot of guys that there's a lot of experts that throw out like certain numbers. Like I've heard ones that say like you don't want to go above 0.5. I've heard ones that say you don't want to go below 2 or 3%, which I think is quite high. But again, it doesn't matter what people say. It matters what does the data say. And I've always taught that based upon all the data I saw, it seemed to be roughly around 1% seemed to be fine. Now, of course, I've seen that can change a bit. Like if you have a really long blog post or really long web page, the density can go down to less than 1. But for like an average blog post or web page, around 1 seems to be about fine. Now, don't worry if yours is like like 0.5% or 1.5% or anything like that. I try to use the rule of thumb is make sure it reads well first. Like don't try to over optimize with too many uses of the phrase. So make sure it flows and reads well first. But most importantly is make sure to use it at least once or twice. If you use it once or twice, you should be fine. But there's a lot of guys that try to rank for keywords that they never even use in the content that they're trying to rank for. And you see, on page 1, they have an average density of 1.12, whereas page 2 and 3 is about 1.4. So both about the same right there. But on ones that aren't ranked, we see it goes down to 0.72. So they're less likely to actually use the keyword in question there. And the other stat that we show off right here, we have some stats on the competitor sites. So of all the members that have sites and stuff, there's obviously way more competitors. So like if you have a site on page 1, you probably have roughly 9 other competitor sites. So we can track those as well. And we see these are sites that are ranked on page 1 right here. We see some interesting data on that as well. In fact, I think we actually added a little more data too. I'll just refresh that page too, because I think we just added one more thing on that too. I just want to make sure that pops up there. And with that, what we can see there is, hey, again, of all the competitor sites, a lot of them have the keyword phrase somewhere in their title, about 84%. 94% have at least the partial keyword in their title. 3/4 of them have the keyword in their description, and about 3/4 have at least the partial keyword in the URL. So that tells you right now, what is Google looking at when they rank? They're looking at the keywords in the titles, they're looking at the keywords in the descriptions, and also somewhat the keywords in the URLs. But again, most importantly, in the title tags and the descriptions, which tends to be what a lot of people, again, seem to miss. There's people that get just one of those two. There's some that miss both of them, but both are very key right here. And the other really interesting part here is you see of all the competitors, the median number of backlinks is 293. And you might say, whoa, that's a lot. But what does that tell you? It actually says, well, gee, up here, if we look at our member sites, to get to page 1, you only need a median of 10. So even though there's lots of other sites on page 1 that have a lot more, you don't need a ton of backlinks to achieve page 1. If the median of our member sites is 10, that tells you they don't have a lot of backlinks as a whole. They just have a handful. In fact, in a lot of cases, you don't really need any backlinks, but having some gives you that little extra push, basically, right there. So that basically says all those guys saying that, you need hundreds and hundreds of backlinks. Yes, that can certainly help, but you don't need it, because you just saw up here, there's plenty of guys with, again, a median of 10 that are on page 1. So that's pretty interesting right there. The other cool thing is these are the recent stats right here. We also have stats saved from several months back. I don't know the exact date, but I want to say these probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months back or so, but we'll just say it's about that right there. And that was prior to some, the Google updates and stuff. And you can see a major change. So right here, if we look at the old stats right here, we see, only 66% had the keywords in their title. But here it looks like it's more important because it's 81.5% of those on page 1 have the keywords in the title. So it looks like over time, Google seems to have, again, favored, more sites that use the keywords in their titles. And if we look at, let's look at maybe the description. In the past, we had 47% had it, and right here we have 58%. So again, there seems to be a slight favor or a slight increase in ranking on page 1 in the past 6 months or so if you use the keyword in your description. But the bigger one is the keyword in the title. So they're definitely favoring keywords in their titles a lot more now compared to 6 months back as well there. And the other interesting thing too is that we've actually seen a significant increase in page 1 rankings from our members since the updates and stuff have actually taken place. So that means that Google is getting rid of more and more of the junk and letting sites that are actually optimized well and having the content that people are looking for rank. And let's look at essentially backlinks. So right here we see in the past had a median backlinks of 9. Now it's 10. Again, roughly the same right there. So not much has changed backlink-wise, but there appears to be a definite trend, big time, in the title and such. Let's look at so the rest seem to be, and again, the average keyword density again seems to be in both cases around 1% for page 1. Here it's 1.12. Here it's 0.99. So again, in both cases, right around the 1% range right there. So I thought that was, again, really interesting right there. And you kind of see some really good trends and stuff right there. So yeah, so that's basically the breakdown of all that right there. I'll just pause the screen for a second right here as I go back to the PowerPoint. I'll give you some key takeaways and stuff there too. So here's a few takeaways. First, optimizing your titles and just descriptions and so forth with targeted keywords even more important now. And again, especially you want to make sure that you use like the keyword tool to find keywords or phrases that you have a decent chance to actually rank for, and then by putting those in the titles and the descriptions, you greatly increase your chances of ranking. And as far as the backlinks go, you want to do quality over quantity when it comes to backlinks. Again, you don't need a ton of backlinks. You don't need hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of backlinks, even though a lot of the competitors that rank, alongside our member sites have hundreds of backlinks. The average member, or the median member, I should say, has only about 10 for page 1. So that tells you that's quality over quantity when it comes to ranking. And that's basically become, even more important right now is, again, Google's trying to cut down on guys that have tons and tons and tons of crappy backlinks or that are trying like backlink tricks. Like there's tricks that can work. In fact, there's guys out there that sell services are basically trying to trick essentially Google into basically thinking that you have a bunch of backlinks when really they're basically junk ones. The other takeaway is, always do white hat techniques for long-term gains. And really quick back on the backlink thing, I'm sure there's a handful of you, I see at least a couple here, basically asking, how can I get more backlinks? Well, we have several tools that can help get you more legitimate backlinks, ranging from places like if you use some of the lead tools and such, you'll find places that you can leave a post, comment, or reply on, which you can link back to your site. You can also make videos that link back to your site. You can also write basically articles or other content that you can link or mention your site. You can also do guest blog posts to get some extra backlinks out there. Again, you don't need a ton. I mean, just a handful of them can really go a long ways right there. And you also, another big takeaway is you want to optimize the site fully instead of partially. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of guys that will they might put like a keyword, in the title, but then they won't even bother to have that phrase, in their content or in the description or stuff like that. And we saw hands down the guys that are ranking on page 1 are fully optimizing their site for the most part versus just partially. And that seems to make a major difference with sites ranked on page 1 versus those ranked on page 2 or 3 or not at all. So again, kind of like some of the same stuff that we've always been teaching, but right here you see the raw data, and you see that the latest changes that Google has basically done is placed an even larger emphasis on having the relevant keywords and stuff in the titles and such, which is something that I don't really hear a lot of guys really even talking about, because that they're all concerned about the number of backlinks or the type of backlinks, and they all seem shocked that it's they're placing more of an emphasis over quality than quantity. But that's kind of like a no-brainer if you sit back and think about it, and what we've always been essentially preaching right here. So with that, guys, if you have any questions related to this or anything related to marketing or anything like that, feel free to ask those right here. And then after we do the Q&A, we'll do the cash giveaway as well. So we have plenty of time for Q&A right here, because I figured there'd probably be a bunch of questions on that. And then afterwards, if you go to getwebfire.com/FB group, Sharon has a post up there basically asking what you thought of today's call. If you leave a comment within that post right there, we'll pick a random winner to give them $100 cash today. So again, you have to go to getwebfire.com/FB group. If you're not a free member of that Facebook group yet, you can join it right now, and Sharon or Jill will approve you probably within like a minute or 2 or so if you do it right now. But otherwise, if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask those now. And Sean, I know you've been on the call answering some questions and stuff, in the background. But if you've seen any common questions or anything like that, feel free to shout those out now, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So, all right. Hang on. So they just all of a sudden a whole bunch of questions popped all at once. So that's
how it goes.
So it's the screen keeps moving faster than my old eyes can actually read the screen. Okay, so Deb asked this question. Just want to clarify something you said on the backlinks. If you have a video and put a link to your site, is that considered a backlink that's good? Basically,
any link that you have to your site is considered a backlink. As far as it being good or not, it basically they want to make sure that the site or the video or the article or the blog post or whatever that links back to you basically is relevant first and foremost. So if the video is on weight loss tips for men and it links back to a site on weight loss tips for men, that would be considered relevant. So that's a good thing. Now, the only thing that would be essentially better is if there's like a larger, more or authoritative type weight loss site, like a big one, like a very well-known one. Obviously, if that links to you, that has a lot more juice on it, but both are good. What they don't want, and what a lot of people do, is they'll buy like backlinks from Fiverr or places like that, where oftentimes the links are completely random, or they'll buy it from like blog networks where there will be like thousands of new sites that are completely unrelated, and they'll see like thousands of backlinks that are completely unrelated going to your site within a day or two. It looks fake, and it's pretty obvious that it's basically fake then. So next question.
Sure. Cindy asked, should I go back to old posts and change headlines, descriptions, etc.?
Yeah, so I think what you're basically asking is if you have a current site or blog, is it worthwhile for you to go back and basically optimize those pages or blog posts based on the keywords you're trying to rank for? And I'd say yes. In the majority of cases, yes. The only exception would be if you're currently ranking for some decent terms, I probably wouldn't mess around and try to change it around to try to rank for different stuff. So make sure you check that first, because you never want to mess around with a good thing. But if you're not ranking or not ranking all that well, definitely I'd say it's worth your time to basically go back and make those changes and actually track that too. In fact, you can use the rank tracking tool inside a Webfire to help you track increases in rankings and all that right there, and that definitely would be worthwhile, and it would probably save a lot more time versus like making new web pages or new blog posts and stuff like that. I mean, you certainly can do either, but yeah, I would say so.
Okay, good. Steven says, Webfire's helped me, and I've got mostly green bars now. 2 areas I'm stuck on. One is fixing the viewport tag, and the second is optimizing my website for performance. Can Brian help?
Okay, so for basically performance stuff, that's one where it usually comes down to 2 things. It has to basically do with the speed that your site loads, and that's the least one that I would probably worry about. And in fact, on both of those, I probably wouldn't be too concerned about it. The only exception is, does your site appear to load slow? If it's like really slow, yes, you should fix that, and usually it has to do with either you're on like a bad host and you just need to get like basically a better host, or more often than not, you might have some like really large files on it, like a large video or like a large image. Like I've seen sites that have a huge image that should really be like a tiny fraction of the size. So if you fix up that, that can help right there. But if your site loads decently fast for you, and don't overthink it, just basically type in your site. If it seems to load fast, you're probably fine. But the reason why it basically checks that is if there's, let's say, 2 sites that are equally as optimized and are basically trying to target the same keyword, have the same authority and everything, if one site loads a little bit faster, Google sometimes will give a preference to that site. Now, 99% of the time, 2 sites aren't identically optimized, and will give a preference to the site that's more relevant versus the site that's just faster. So don't worry about that too much there. But if you get stuck or anything like that, feel free to write us, and we'd be happy to take a look and see what we think on those too. But yeah, you're perfectly fine. I would not overthink those unless your site like really does load slow and stuff.
Okay, and then the other thing is that when we talk about loading speed, is you need to think about mobile.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, recognize that half your visitors are opening their site on a mobile device, and so if you go to open your site on your phone when you're not home, and you're like, wow, this isn't coming up pretty quick, then you need to think about the fact that it's not coming up quick for other people, and it's the secondary reason that Google's always going to be measuring speed is because they know that their users are on mobile devices as well, so they want to deal with that. Okay. Okay. 2 different people since you finished started talking about white hat and black hat. Asked what white hat and black hat mean again. So let's go back over that just real quick.
Sure. I mean, we explained it on the call, but essentially white hat is any method that you do to try to rank better that Google basically wants you to do. Like, for instance, if you have the keyword you're trying to optimize for in your content, like if the title is relevant to the content that you have and you get relevant backlinks, that's white hat. Black, and those all work long term. And any update that's basically done is very unlikely to hurt you, only help you. Whereas black hat are more like tricks that you can do to trick search engines into ranking you better. Like if you're trying to rank for a keyword that you're not really optimized for, or that you don't have relevant content for, more so, that would be black hat. Like there's some tricks out there where, you know, the last update a ways back wiped out a lot of sites that would have like thousands of backlinks that were mostly crap. So they'd get like decent rankings, but it was using tricks that weren't really legit tricks, like trying to get a bunch of crap backlinks, not having relevant content, because at the end of the day, Google wants basically their searchers to be happy. And you make them happy by having the searches that they do show sites that are relevant to what they want. So anything you do to try to trick that would be considered basically black hat. So we always try to basically steer towards what white hat methods, and all the tools inside of Webfire and all the trainings that we do are basically always geared towards the white hat side.
Okay. And so Beth asked a really good question. She's about to open her Shopify store. Okay. And we're talking about, you know, if you want to rank pages well, you need to get URLs and keywords in your URLs, right? So does this mean she should change how she's doing her Shopify store, because Shopify, she obviously can't control a lot of the stuff and a lot of the page names and things?
You can control more than you actually think on that. In fact, there's actually, so two things that you can do right off the bat, which are super easy with Shopify stores. One, we actually have a schema tool inside of Webfire, and we have a setting that works for Shopify. So you can use that right off the bat. So that's one way that you can change that. That's really easy to use. And that can help you rank too. The second way is you want to make sure that the graphics or the actual pictures or the images that you use, you know, of your products have the keywords of the actual images or products in them, because you can get those ranked too quite well if you optimize the actual images well, which is super easy, and our tools can help with that too. And then probably lastly too, you want to make sure that if you list a product, make sure that it's like a relevant keyword phrase. Like if you have a Siberian Husky coffee mug for sale, make sure in the product name you call it something like Siberian Husky coffee mug. You'd be shocked at the number of people that will have like a Siberian Husky coffee mug, and they'll just like call it like, you know, dog cup, or, you know, dog mug, or some weird name like that that isn't really relevant to what the product itself is. So make sure to do those things, and you should be fine.
Okay, here's a great question, and I can't wait to hear Brian answer this question. Okay, so Renee asks, my business name is The Beauty House, which is B-Y-U-T-I. But people search for The Beauty House, spelled the way you'd think of beauty, on Google. How can I let Google know that if they search for The Beauty House, they should really consider my actual name spelled the way it's spelled as well?
Well, the easy answer is maybe you should consider to take the feedback of all the users and maybe possibly change your name to basically reflect that. The other thing that I don't know offhand, and that you probably would know, is that, you know, are there basically other stores or other businesses called The Beauty House spelled the real way? Because if there are a few of those, a lot or a few or even a couple, chances are Google, you know, won't know who's trying to find you versus who's trying to find the other beauty house and so forth. If it's like a local place, you know, they'll probably do an okay job if a person basically types in Beauty House Atlanta, Georgia, if that's where you're from. they would do probably a decent job of guessing that they probably mean you, but you're basically playing with like fire right there. Now, stuff like that works to try to brand like cool, weird names and stuff like that if you spend money on essentially branding, and a lot of people know and recognize that. But if you're saying right now that a lot of users trying to find you basically type in beauty like it should be spelled, I'd say that's probably a mistake that you possibly made with your branding to start with. Whether or not you think it's significant enough to possibly change, would probably be more so up to you. I mean, Sean, what's your take on that? I mean, mine would be almost, probably consider possibly changing the name if there's a lot of people that, seem to not search it well.
Well, I mean, that's part of the problem is that when you whatever name you have, I mean, sometimes you're kind of stuck with. But at the same time, if people are searching for that, then you've got, I mean, you can't convince Google that, oh, by the way, my prospects are stupid, they don't know how to spell my store name, right? Because Google doesn't have that plan that they would take a normally spelled word and in their eyes misspell it. But you would want to work to rank for beauty, B-E-A-U-T-Y, spelled normally, as well as for your version of the spelling, because that's fine that it's spelled that way, and you're more likely to rank for it if you get people to actually search for that specific term.
And one thing you could do too is like in the in the title tag or in the description tag, you could have the normal spelling too, like say like the beauty store spelled your way, and then in the description or after like a dash, say a full-fledged beauty store spelled the normal way that basically offers this and that. So you can still have the normal spelling in the title and the description tag along with yours, and you can probably get around it then. So if you've had essentially the business a while or don't want to change the name, that's probably your best bet right there. So that wouldn't be a major issue and would be a fairly easy fix that would take basically a couple minutes.
Okay, good. So this is a good question from Steven. All right, so there's actually a two-part question. So part one is, does Google view differently whether you have www.webfire.com or just the HTTP webfire.com?
So basically he's asking, do you need the www?
Well, he's asking, does it make any difference if someone puts that in? I mean, is there any difference? The answer is no.
No.
Without getting any more complicated than that.
Yeah.
The second question is, this is a really good question, is what's the impact of adding SSL, the certificate to your website to make it secure? And I'm going to answer this because I really specifically know the answer. Number one, today doesn't necessarily make any difference. Really soon it will make a difference, and it will particularly make a difference if you're going to capture leads. And the reason it's going to make a difference is there's a massive, massive push by the people that run the internet, so to speak, the Googles of the world, and then the domain organizations and all those kind of people, people that aren't us normal people, to make the internet more secure. And the way to make it more secure is their goal is to make every single site have secure protocols for all their pages, but particularly for not only order pages, which you normally would, but for opt-in pages as well. And sometime in the near future, you're going to see Google and other people, but like Google Chrome, for example, start to pop warnings if you go to submit your email address on a non-secure opt-in page. So you might be asking, oh my gosh, does that mean I need to go update my stuff? And over the next few months, the answer would be, yes, you will. And so a lot of them, and somebody said they've already seen sites that are popping, some cases where warnings are getting popped like that. So yes, that's going to become more and more of an issue. There is a new nonprofit service that is put together that's pushing this whole thing called Let's Encrypt. It's sponsored by all these big companies like Cisco and those kind of guys and Google. Hang on one second, because you're all going to be like, oh, how do you spell that? But this is actually free to use. And somewhere here, hang on, I'm going to post this up in the chat window for all of you guys. And so there's the link. And so that's actually a free service you can use to get SSL for all of your pages and everything else there, so you can do that. Somebody asked, how do you let a site was SSL, it got moved to WordPress, now it's not, doesn't have SSL. How do I let Google know that? Well, you don't, it isn't a Google thing. I mean, other than Google knowing whether or not your site's secure, because when they search it, they'll see whether or not it's got SSL in it. They'll know instantly. And browsers always know whether or not the page they're going to is secure or not. So, all right, so we've got, all right, I'm just going to answer Beth's question real quick. So Beth, the answer is your store name is fine because it's your store name, but your products, unless someone would search that term, you need to change the description of what those products are into a keyword someone would search.
So, Sean, should we give some cash away soon?
Yeah, if you've got some extra laying around, let's do it.
All right. So again, once more, guys, I'll give you maybe 30 more seconds. If you want to go to getwebfire.com/FB group, and it's that link that you see up right there. And if you leave a comment within Sharon's post basically asking what you thought of today's call, I will pick a random winner there in just about a minute's time. So I'm just going to pause the screen as I go over there. All right. I'll refresh the screen real quick. All right, so basically be right here. You see that post up towards the very top that said what you thought of today's call. The comments are right here. So far there's 54 right there. Plus I know there's a handful usually outside of the main area right there. All right, and Daryl, looks like it's your first time on a Wednesday call, so welcome. Glad to have you. All right. All right. All right. So with that, I will, let's see if there's any, looks like there's someone basically typing in a comment right now. So I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. No pressure. We're all just waiting on you.
It's only money. There's really no hurry at all, because when it comes to making money, you should take your time. Shouldn't be in a hurry. You don't want to take action quickly, right?
So
yes, this is why my wife describes me as the master of sarcasm. Yes.
All right, so I'll just refresh that once more just in case. All right.
And she is also completely unimpressed by my mastery of sarcasm too, by the way.
All right, so we have 61 there, and I'll count the ones outside. Oh, 62 now. Looks like a person just got one in. I'll count the ones outside first, and then we'll just add those to 62. 62. All right, so outside we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there's one extra outside, I'll count. 7. So 7 plus, how many are there now total? 7 plus 62, so that'd be 69. So 169, so you see I'm making it completely random.
37, that's my guess.
39, close.
See, I'm getting better at this. I'm going to get it right one day, and people are going to think that we tricked it.
39. Well, there was that one week that Sharon won, but then we redid the drawing then to make it fair. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let's go up. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 is Bobby. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. That's what I said, right? 39? Yes, I did.
No, I thought it was 42.
39. All right. So, Clara Peterson, if this is you or you look like this person, congratulations. You are $100 richer, or will be, as soon as you post up your PayPal info to Sharon in the chat. So just mention your PayPal email to her, and she will PayPal you over $100 right now or as soon as we get your PayPal info. So again, congratulations to Clara Peterson. And with that, guys.
All right, we have a couple more questions to answer.
Sure.
But I wanted to give away money, so those that were only here for the cash could go. Now we'll see how many people leave. Okay, so a couple quick questions that we didn't get to yet. So one is somebody was saying that they were on another webinar, and somebody said, how many of you are listing, at least 3 competitors in your keyword tags so you can rank for your competitors' names? And at first blush, this seems like a brilliant strategy, right? We put IBM, Microsoft, and Cisco in our title tags on our page, and so obviously magically when someone searches for IBM, they're going to find our page. Now, when I say that out loud, it doesn't sound as good when I finish the thought, does it? Because obviously Google is not going to randomly, in this day and age, go, wow, look, here's a site about bicycle pumps. When somebody types in IBM, they should go to the bicycle pump page, right? I mean, that alone is not going to rank you for your competitors' pages, especially if they're optimized, if those pages are optimized at all, right? Or there's much competition. But, let's say you're in, a market, that's of a reasonable size where, your competitors are local companies. Can you optimize pages, more than just the title tag, or keywords, in your tags for your competitors, so that somebody looking for your competitor could find your page, and you could fairly be talking about, your competitor versus you. Like you could have a comparison page. Here's how we compare to, XYZ carpet cleaning company. They suck, we're really good. People hate them, people love us, whatever it is, right? But so you have just some reason to talk about your competition and do a fair comparison, right? That you could do to try and, and rank that page for your competitors so you could bring them across to your site, right? I mean, to actually rank for a keyword, that Google's got to have some reason more than you randomly mentioned it, okay? Related to this, somebody said, what's the difference between ranking local keywords, like Duluth carpet cleaning versus national keywords like carpet cleaning, and trying to rank, for just carpet cleaning? Obviously, the longer the phrase, the easier, and the less competitive the phrase, the easier. And so, a local market keyword like Duluth, Georgia carpet cleaning is oodles easier to rank for than carpet cleaning nationally. And carpet cleaning nationally, you're going to be competing against, right? Really big competitors, whereas locally you compete against much smaller competitors, some of whom aren't doing anything at all still to try to optimize and rank. They might be ranked, but it's kind of, they're ranked in lieu of anybody doing a good job to just kick their butts. So much easier to rank for, local keywords than it is for, just, the global #1 for carpet cleaning. And you can see how easy that is in any market, because using Google's site analysis tool, you can go in and you could look, you could go to, search Duluth, Georgia carpet cleaning, and you can see who's #1 and go analyze their site, right? And you could see how many backlinks they've got and what what's their page is like, and you're like, oh, look, here's exactly what #1 did for this term. I can go make my site and or page like this page and do better, if nothing else, by getting better and more backlinks. And do that, and you're going to compete really, really quickly, which answers another question of, somebody was told that it takes at least 6 months to get ranked now in Google because of the updates. And that's not true. And if you think about the logic behind it, that would mean that Google's decided that no matter what appears on any website, they're not going to update a single search engine ranking for 6 months. Doesn't even make any sense when you think about it that way. They always are going to be updating and changing based upon new content, valid content, pertinent content, right? I mean, somebody makes a great blog post tomorrow that gets a lot of attention on a specific thing, right? So let's talk about like the unfortunate incident that happened with United Airlines the other day, right? Okay, I guarantee you can search that, phrases related to that, and there are brand new posts on websites, blogs, news sites that are all ranking that didn't rank Monday before that incident happened. Because that was not anything that anybody cared about, right? But all of a sudden, man, everybody's talking about it. Okay, so just a few more answers to questions there, Brian. I'm not sure if anybody typed anything in after I got on a roll.
So, all right. So just right.
And I love the fact that Clara got up at 3:50 in the morning to get on this webinar, took action, got great information, and won money.
Oh, nice. So yeah, guys, to sum up everything, if you're having problems ranking or anything like that, make sure that you look at the important things that we basically talked about, which are, the title tags, the description tags, and also the keyword itself. So don't think that you can change your description and title tag to diet or weight loss and think that you'll magically rank now for those terms. And you have to choose terms that, there aren't like 1,000 highly optimized sites trying to also rank for, or sites with a lot more authority. That's why we have the keyword tool and stuff to start with. But if you use the keyword tool, pick some good ones to start with, optimize your sites, you should do fine. If you don't get the results that you want, try again to compare your site to what we just showed you on this call. Like, hey, these are the sites that are on page 1, these are sites that are not. What is it that your site is not optimized for that maybe you could fix? And I think you guys will do just fine. And with that, guys, we will wrap up this call right here. So if you have any other questions or anything like that, again, feel free to contact our support. There's a help desk inside your members area. On the top right, you just click the support tab. That way, if there's ever like an email lost or anything like that, you'll always see a response within a day or less. But if you have any issues and for whatever reason you can't use the help desk or get inside there or anything like that, you can always write support@webfire.com. And again, they'll always get back to you as well within a day or less right there. Sean, is there any last minute things you want to add in before we wrap up?
I just want to say that Joe is correct. Men appreciate sarcasm much, much, much more than women. and with that, I think that we're good for this week. Again, you guys saw the data, and I know Brian went through it a little bit quickly for some of you, but we'll have the replay up and in the members area within a couple hours, and you can go through it at your leisure. But it's really important to understand that this takes the guesswork out of, should I do it this way or that way? And so for a lot of you that are constantly second guessing what you're trying to do instead of just picking one and doing it, now you have the answers. Just follow the big clues that Google leaves us by saying, oh, look, 81% of sites are doing this, okay, that are on page 1. So we want to do that, okay? You know, there are always going to be exceptions to the rule, and you don't need to figure out why the exceptions exist. You just need to follow the rule, because you do that, and it's going to get you, the results you want most of the time, and it's certainly a lot easier than spending a lot of time trying to guess. So go out there, take action, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks.
Good. See you guys later. Take care.